What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we're taking a look at the brand new 1000 Toys Lobster Johnson from the HellBoy universe. And man, this guy finally came out. I thought they were going to cancel this figure. I feel like it's been delayed for so long. I can't even remember when they first announced this. I want to say it was like 3 or 4 years ago or something. It feels like it's been forever and that this guy's been on the way for a couple of years. But they finally released it. Here it is, and I'm very excited about it because I'm a huge fan of the 1000 Toys HellBoy figures. HellBoy himself and Abe Sapien are absolutely incredible. Some of the best versions of those characters that we'll probably ever see. So I'm looking forward to this guy here. Jumping right into it, starting off with the packaging. As you can see, we get some awesome looking Mike Mignola artwork here on the front, and that looks really dope. On the back, we get a look at the figure itself. On the top, it says HellBoy. On the bottom, it says a bunch of bullshit, and this is a slip cover, so once you take that off, that's where you're able to see the figure along with the accessories. And that's about it for the packaging. It is collector friendly and all that good stuff, but enough about the pretty box. Let's go ahead and get the lobster out and take a look. Okay, so here we have Lobster Johnson right out of the box, and man, I think this guy turned out really nice. Just like with HellBoy and Abe Sapien, 1000 Toys did a really nice job on, a character that we don't really see a lot of action figures of. I feel like the whole HellBoy universe is kind of neglected when it comes to action figures. For a franchise that's as popular as HellBoy, it's crazy how little like figures we have from that world. So it's really cool that 1000 Toys comes through and gives us these like very high quality versions of these characters, because who knows if we'll ever get another Lobster Johnson. But man, they killed it on this guy. But let me go ahead and just very quickly address the elephant in the room. This figure is way too expensive. Like, this thing cost me $150 from Hobby Link Japan. Like, that's not even from some, US store that had to import it and, put an upcharge and all that. Nah, this is just straight from Japan. It cost me $150. Now, that's crazy. And it's weird because it's a great figure. I don't know if there's anything that I would have wanted them to do differently. I just don't know if there was any version of Lobster Johnson that would have justified that price tag. So yeah, it's way too expensive. But with that said, I think they did a great job with it. And we'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end of the video. Let's go ahead and just focus on the figure itself because they killed it, man. He does have a lot of cool stuff going on. Like in regards to the design of the suit and the sculpt and everything, there's like different textures and different types of, it kind of seems like different types of material. Like the boots kind of have a shine to them that's a little bit different from the pants, and the pants look different than, the jacket. And it looks really cool. There's a lot of different things going on. And, 1000 Toys is they're known for their innovative articulation, and Lobster Johnson does have elements of that. They did some really interesting things here. So yeah, he's very posable. He looks good. He's well painted, and it's a really good looking version of this character. I do wish that I wish that his shoulders were able to come down a little bit. That way we could just give him that that slouch shoulder kind of look that he often has in the books. A lot of HellBoy characters or Mike Mignola HellBoy characters have that look, where they have like the sloped shoulders. So I do wish that he was able to do that a little bit more than what he's able to now. But aside from that, I honestly have zero complaints about the design and the look of this figure. 1000 Toys did a great job with the sculpt, the detail, the paint. All of that looks really nice. And I love the way that like the different articles of clothing have like different textures and things like that. That is super dope. But see the jacket, how there's so much like depth and detail and all kinds of stuff going on? Looks crazy, right? And then you come down to the pants, it's like all smooth and clean. And then the boots are even more smooth and they have a shine to them that the pants doesn't have. So that's a really cool to mix up the design here, because he's got like a lot of black. So it could have been really boring, but I like the way they added all these different like textures to his clothing. That's super cool. But yeah, taking a look at the head sculpt here, I think they did a great job with this. I love the way the eyes look, how it has like that burning orange look towards the bottom and then it gets lighter towards the top of the eyes. That looks really nice. And the mask itself has some great texture. Look at that. It's not smooth or anything. It actually looks like he's wearing a mask. He's got a little strap right there on the side, or like a buckle. Yeah, so that's cool, man. That's a great looking head sculpt. And the face itself looks good. You know, not a whole lot going on with it. I like how it kind of has like a dirty look to it. I think that's very fitting for a character like this. But yeah, man, that's a great looking head sculpt. Can't wait to see like the photos people take of this guy. It's gonna look awesome. And then yeah, check out the jacket. This looks really good. There's some nice like paint variation in there, some dry brushing and some washes and stuff. The lobster claw right there on the chest looks good. It's very clean. So are the buttons. Man, there's a lot of detail in the jacket. And there is a little break for articulation right there, but it's very well hidden. So yeah, the jacket looks great. And then taking a look at the hand, he does have his lobster claw brand right there in the palm of his hand. So that's really dope. The hands look good. Even the hands are a different texture than everything else. One thing I do want to point out is I do feel like they could have done a better job on the elbow joint here. I know it's tough when it comes to jackets and things like that, but I don't know. This isn't like the cleanest work here. I think this elbow joint could have been a little bit cleaner. But aside from that, all the joints are well hidden. The articulation doesn't obstruct the sculpt at all, and the figure just mostly looks really good. It's just the elbows, I think, could have been done a little better. And then taking a look at the belt, there's a lot of great stuff going on here. Got the buckle here, and it is a floating piece, so it gets out of the way of the articulation. We have these things, which are some kind of like grenades or canisters or something. Some pouches back here that look good. A little rope. I don't know what this is. A big old container. And then the gun holster is very cool because it rotates. It's on a little ball joint in there. We'll take a look at the guns later, but it does look really good. But yeah, man, I think this is a great looking figure. They did a really nice job with all the details. And I like how he kind of has a little bit of an awkward, kind of off look to it, you know? I think that, you know, Hellboy's whole aesthetic is kind of offbeat, you know, and I think this figure captures that very well. So yeah, they did a great job with the details on this guy. And when it comes to accessories, there's not a whole lot going on here, especially considering the price. I mean, he does have some cool stuff, but you know, for a figure that costs this much, he should have come with a lot more accessories. I think that's really where they could have, you know, made this whole purchase really worth it by just going crazy with the accessories for this figure. Unfortunately, they didn't, but he does come with two different heads. This is the first one. It's the one that we've already looked at, but it does look really good. I am a big fan of it. And then here's the second head sculpt, and you know, this looks cool and everything. Looks like he's showing some teeth. A little bit of emotion there, but not a whole lot, you know. The head sculpt's not even that different than the previous one, but it would have been cool to get more head sculpts, but also just something with a little bit more emotion or just something a little bit more dramatic. I do appreciate that he came with two head sculpts, but he should have come with more head sculpts and just more interesting head sculpts. But he does come with a good amount of hands. He comes with 4 different sets. This is the first set here. As you can see, we get a pair of open, relaxed hands. And then he has another set of open hands, but these ones aren't quite as relaxed. And he also comes with a pair of fists. And then for the final set, he comes with a pair of gun gripping hands. And then he also comes with 2 of these guns right here. And these are very cool. But, you know, they kind of seem a little bit too modern for a character like this because, you know, didn't he operate like in the early 1900s or whatever? So did they have guns that look like this back then? I don't know. I could be wrong. But anyways, this does look good. Not a whole lot to it, but it is well sculpted. It's mostly black with a brown handle there. But yeah, man, this looks cool. And he looks really dope holding on to them. And, you know, he only has one gun holster and the guns fit in there very nicely. So yeah, I do like the accessories that he comes with. I like the guns. I like the hands, the heads. But like I said, he should have come with more accessories. Oh, and one thing I'd like to note too, with the hands, they are kind of hard to switch out. I've been having to warm them up every time. A couple of the sets have been, after I warmed them up a few times and switched them out and whatever, the peg holes kind of opened up enough to where it's just like popping on and off without heat, you know, so it's been fine. But the first couple of times that you're going to switch the hands out, you're probably going to want to use some heat. But yeah, aside from that, I don't have any complaints with the hands that he comes with. I like the different styles and stuff. But yeah, I do wish that he came with some more accessories. That's really the only thing I have to say in regards to the stuff that he comes with. Alrighty, so now for some size comparisons. Here we have Lobster Johnson alongside the 1000Toys Hellboy and the 1000Toys Abe Sapien. And oh my god, I love what we have going on here. They look incredible together. Man, I love the fact that 1000Toys are doing Hellboy figures, and they're doing such a great job with them. You know, Mezco put out some really great Hellboy figures back in the day, but at that time, I wasn't collecting every single thing out there, you know? I was pretty much just doing Marvel Legends at the time, but they made some really good Hellboy figures, and I would love to get some of them, but they're very rare, and a lot of them have shot up in price, and they're pretty difficult to obtain at this point. So I really like that 1000 Toys is giving us an opportunity to get these really cool characters like at a very high level of quality. These figures are amazing. Abe Sapien is super slept on. He's really nice. Hellboy is great too, but I think a lot of people realize that he's a great figure. He recently got a re-release, so if you missed out on him the first time, he's a little easier to get now. The re-release has like an extra shirt and things like that. So yeah, jump on it if you're a Hellboy fan. But man, these look amazing together. And then here we have the Lobster alongside the Felix Toys Inkblot, aka third party Rorschach. On the opposite side, we have the Mezco 112 Collective, The Mask. And I would love to see Mezco revisit the Hellboy comic book universe. They've done some Hellboy movie stuff, but you know, given what they have going on with the 112 Collective and the soft goods and all that, I think they could do some pretty great comic book Hellboy figures, specifically the Lobster. I think his look works really well with the whole Mezco aesthetic. So it'd be dope if they revisited the comic book universe for Hellboy. And then next up, we have him alongside the OG Shocker Toys Scud the Disposable Assassin. And then on the opposite side, we have the 3-0 Bloodshot. Next up, we have him alongside the 1000 Toys Synthetic Human and the Coffin Comics La Muerta by Loose Collector. And then here we have Lobster Johnson alongside the Marvel Legends Bucky Cap and the Marvel Legends Renew Your Vows Spider-Man. And this is kind of random, but here we have Lobster Johnson alongside the Marvel Legends Into the Spider-Verse Spider-Man Noir. I just threw him in there because I feel like these characters kind of have a similar vibe to them. And then on the opposite side, we have the Marvel Legends Star-Lord. And his outfit or uniform, whatever you want to call it, is very similar to that of Lobster Johnson. So when I was playing with this Lobster figure, I was thinking like, man, I wish I had a Star-Lord that was as good as this. Although I do love this Marvel Legends Star-Lord. I think it's super slept on. But man, I would be so down for a high quality version of Star-Lord in this outfit. And then for some more pulp type of vibes, here we have the Lobster alongside the Rocketeer by Loose Collector. And then on the opposite side, we have the Mezco 112 Collective Prune Face. And then for the final and most important size comparison, here we have Lobster Johnson alongside the NECA Mirage Comics Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Kirby, aka the King Jack Kirby. And then on the opposite side, we have my original character, Odious from Unparalleled Universe. If you're interested in checking him out, I'll leave a link to information to him in the description below. I'm going to be doing another Kickstarter very soon for different versions of Odious. So if you want to get in and get the original, it's still available. So be sure to check that out. And you know, one of these days, I would love to do a, you know, like a 1940s early pulp type of Odious kind of look and outfit. One of these days I want to do that. I kind of have this idea of Odious fighting crime in that era. I love that type of stuff. That's why like Lobster Johnson really appeals to me. But yeah, check out Odious. One thing I really like about 1000 Toys is that they often have an interesting approach to articulation. A lot of their figures have like these little weird out of the box things going on with them. And Lobster Johnson definitely has some of that. So that was cool to see. He also has some limitations in certain areas, but I think for the most part, they did a great job with the articulation on this guy. And you know, he kind of grew on me from a playability standpoint because when I first took him out of the box, I was kind of like, you know, I wish that this did a little bit more, or I wish he could move like this or whatever. But then after a couple of days of playing with this figure, man, I find that I'm just really enjoying messing around with this guy, even with the limitations. He's such a fun figure to pose around, and you could really do some great stuff with it. And it's just interesting. Like the way they did the torso and the arms and the neck, it's just kind of crazy to sit and mess with and, you know, experiment a little bit and just kind of trip out on the things that they did. So yeah, man, I'm having a great time playing around with this figure, and I think that 1000 Toys did an awesome job with the articulation. But let's go ahead and take a look, starting off at the head. So I love what they did with the head and the neck area. So first off, the head is on a ball joint at the top of the neck. So he's able to look side to side, get a little bit of tilt action. There we go. And then he's able to look up to about right there. So that's pretty good. But then at the lower neck, so the lower neck and the upper chest is like all one piece. And that one piece sits under the soft plastic that makes up the torso. And there must be like a ball joint in there because as you could see, it just kind of like moves side to side. That's that whole upper chest piece moving along with the neck. And you can get it to crunch forward like a crazy amount. Like, look at this. You're able to get his neck to go forward a really good amount. I think it could go more than that. But I love that right there. And you know, with the torso, the front of the torso is kind of hindered by this chest piece, but the way they did it is, you know, you could still move it a lot even with this, you know, solid chest piece. There's a diaphragm cut underneath it, so we get some movement there, and then a ball joint at the waist that gets really great range. And even with this covering right here, like the ball joint that's underneath it still gets you some movement because of the soft plastic. But yeah, look at using all these together, you still get some good range out of, like, at first I wasn't sure how the torso was going to move. But like using all these joints at the same time, you get some nice movement. Like, that's pretty good. Especially considering, like, at first I didn't think the torso was going to move like at all. I thought it was just going to be a little bit of movement at the ball joint at the waist or something. But no, we get some nice like ab crunch. And, you know, you got the waist joint, the ab crunch, and the neck joint all working together to allow some pretty crazy range. So yeah, I like that quite a bit. The only thing that kind of sucks when you're doing all that, like all this soft plastic kind of shifts around and, you know, it could kind of force the arm off and whatever, but then you just have to like adjust it and put it back to like its natural state, and then you could pop the arms back on. So it's not a huge deal, but it could be slightly annoying. But yeah, I love the way they did the torso. The ball joint has, you know, all kinds of range in different directions. We have swivel side to side. Like, that would have pretty much just worked like this, you know, having a good ball joint at the waist. But I love what they did with the neck and the diaphragm cut and all of that. It all just works together really well. So I'm very happy with the torso. And then for the arms are on like the shoulder piece is like a socket that pops onto a ball joint that's inside here, and it's able to move all the way around a really good amount. And even though there's no like butterfly joint or anything, you're still able to get his arms in front of him a really good amount. Check this out. Like, that's crazy right there. So I really like what we have going on with the arms and the shoulders. It's like a simple setup, but it works really well. This bicep joint or bicep swivel is a little tight, but yeah, that's really cool right there. I love what they did with the shoulders. And let's see. And the shoulders have like these shoulder pads that cover up the joint and just make everything look seamless and nice and functions really well. Most of the joints felt pretty good out of the box, but there was some tightness. Like the thigh joints were a little tight, and the ball joint at the waist was tight. So I did have to put a little bit of oil in those joints, and once I did that, everything moved very nicely. I may have to do it in the bicep here too. We'll see. But yeah, speaking of the bicep, he does have upper bicep swivel and double jointed elbows, and then at the wrist he has a ball joint with a hinge. And you could also rotate the hand, obviously. So yeah, good stuff there at the hands and the arms. But yeah, man, I like this simple approach to the shoulders. Like, usually, oops, hand popped off on me. Usually, you know, you have like butterfly joints or like this crazy complicated shoulder setup and whatever. Do all these crazy things, but just a simple ball and socket could definitely work if done the right way. So I think they did a great job with the arms and the shoulders. And then for the legs, that's where things get a little limited. So he's able to kick his leg forward only to about right there, which was surprising. I thought that we'd be able to get a little bit more out of that, but nah, that's as far as it goes. Kicks out to the side a decent amount. This belt is it's like a floating piece, so it does get out of the way. Yeah, so like the legs are pretty limited. But he's able to kick to the side to about right there. Goes back a little bit. And like I said, only goes forward to right there. That's pretty cool. Bam. Then he does have upper thigh swivel in there. He has double jointed knees that only bend to right there, which again, a little limited. And for the lower legs here, he has a ball joint at the ankle that rotates, and it also has a hinge in there. And the angle of the foot is kind of weird, so you know, if you want it to function like a rocking ankle, you got to rotate that ball joint in there appropriately. But yeah, he's got a ball and a hinge in there. And then for the feet, he does have toe hinge, so that's cool. So yeah, man, the legs are kind of limited in certain areas, but he definitely makes up for it in the upper body with the arms and the torso and the neck, all of that. It's a really fun figure to mess around with, and just kind of, for me, it's just been fun to kind of trip out on it, you know? Like you could get him into cool poses, but I just really like going like, man, what they do here? Oh, this is weird. And that's kind of where I'm getting my enjoyment out of this guy. But man, like I said, I haven't been able to put this figure down. I really like what we have going on here. The the articulation is interesting and different and out of the box in certain areas. Although there are some limitations, in my opinion, 1000 Toys definitely killed it with the articulation on Lobster Johnson. So overall, at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, the dust settles, and it's all said and done, in my opinion, 1000 Toys did a really great job on Lobster Johnson all the way around. Everything about this figure is well done. The sculpting work is nice on him. The paint work is good. And I think the figure does a great job of capturing that like awkward kind of off vibe of the HellBoy universe. That's represented really well in this figure. I like the different textures they use for different parts of the costume. I like how the upper body has like a leathery look and the pants kind of have like a more smooth look and the boots kind of have a shine to them that we don't really see anywhere else. I like the combination of all that stuff because, the character has a lot of black on him, but they made it look visually interesting by using different types of sculpting and plastic and paint on like different areas of the figure, and it just looks cool. So I think they did a great job with the overall design and the look. The articulation is pretty good too, although there are some limitations in the leg. Overall, the articulation is really nice on this guy. I love what they did with the upper body, with the shoulders, the neck, and the torso. All of that is awesome. Personally, I've been having a lot of fun playing around with this figure, and I haven't been able to put it down. As far as the accessories go, I like what we have here with the hands, the guns, and the two heads, but he definitely should have come with more. I think that's really where they could have tried to justify the price of this guy, because honestly, that's really the only problem with this figure. That's the one issue I have. He's way too damn expensive. As far as like the figure itself goes, I think there's only so much you could do with a 1/12 scale Lobster Johnson figure from 1000 Toys. And I think they pretty much did everything to the best of their ability, or everything that we could expect from them. But the price is just crazy. Like $150 shipped for this guy is way too much. If you're a big Lobster Johnson fan or a big HellBoy fan, I think that you'll be happy with this figure, but you're bound to feel a little bit of buyer's remorse because it costs too much. And for what you get, I don't think that it's really worth it, to be honest with you. As much as I love the figure, and I do love it, and I'm very happy to have it, I just think $150 is too much. So if you could find it for a deal, jump on it. But I think like, as far as the figure itself goes, they did everything right. So where they really could have built up that value is with the accessories. They could have just packed it with accessories and then it would have felt more justified. Or if they would have made it like a 2-pack. I know for a while there was going to be like a Rasputin statue that was going to come along with the figure. I don't remember what happened with that. Is that part of like, that may have been like a Dark Horse exclusive with Abe Sapien or something, but they could have done something similar here. I think throwing in like another character somehow, maybe not something with a bunch of articulation, just something simple, just throw it in there just to kind of to build it out and really justify the price and actually make it feel like a good value. Or they could have given him like a bunch of different head sculpts. He only came with 2 heads, and the 2 heads do the job, but I don't know, maybe something battle damaged or something screaming or just something. Or maybe they could have given him like, I know they just re-released HellBoy, but they could have thrown in like interchangeable fist for HellBoy, because I know on the 1000 Toys HellBoy he's got like that very stylized fist. It would have been cool just to have something really dope that's sculpted, static, not articulated, that just looks cool. They could have thrown that in here, or I don't know, like they would have had to get really creative with the accessories to really make it worth it, because the price tag is just too damn high. But the accessories is where they could have done it, and in my opinion, they kind of dropped the ball in that regard. So yeah, man, I don't know. This figure, as much as I like it, I don't think it's worth the price, but it's a very good figure. So if you want a Lobster Johnson and you're okay paying that price, I think that you'll be very satisfied with this guy. If you're just someone with the passing interest in this character and you're just going to kind of buy it on a whim or whatever, you'll be disappointed, honestly, because the price, it's just too crazy. And I don't want to keep crying about the price, because ultimately, I'm here just to tell you what I think about the figure. I think the figure's awesome, but the price is crazy. So that's where I'm at with it. And with that, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you do want this figure, you could pre-order it at Big Bad Toy Store. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. The Big Bad Toy Store price is actually pretty good. It's basically the same price that I got it for from, Hobby Link Japan. So there's not much of an upcharge or anything like that. So if you want to pre-order this figure, hit up Big Bad Toy Store. Use my link in the description below. It helps out the channel. You know how that goes. And with that, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification so you know every time that I go live. Thank you very much. Peace.